Preeti is so motivated that she can achieve anything that she wants. She will make sure her team will achieve her goals. Vikram on the other side totally lacks motivation. But ये motivation है क्या? क्या ये सिर्फ एक word है, एक अल्फाज है, या ये एक एहसास है? To really understand what motivation is, it's very important to understand that motivation is not just a word. Motivation is a set of actions that we have to perform in order to achieve the results that we want to be motivated for. समझ आया? Well, hello, I'm Rubina. I'm going to be sharing a set of these words which literally changed the trajectory of my life. I come from a very middle class, very regimented household, and I was not brought up to achieve any goals or to be anything other than a simple girl who would probably get married at 21 and have children and be the good bahu to someone's house and be a good daughter to someone's house. Rubina was anything but that. And I have failed so many times that failure stopped making a difference to me. But what it did was made me succeed amazingly. I've had a glorious career in IT, healthcare, I've had my own businesses. So I'm going to be sharing a set of these words which I started breaking down to understand what they really mean. Understanding these words and breaking them down to help me achieve what I wanted to do really brought me to a point where my life started changing and I moved from being a failure, dejected, a sad person to somebody who became hyper obsessed with achievement and for whom achievement became snap. The first word I'm going to talk about is motivation. These videos are going to have a whole lot of story because in sab kahaniyon ke saath hi I have achieved what I have achieved. My life is not without my stories, whether it was my success or whether it was my failure. So I request you to have a little patient ear to listen to my stories. So I was in a very unhappy marriage and I really wanted to change my life. It came to a point where I felt that this is not what my life can amount to. I'm sure my life is more than me just waking up unhappy every day, looking at my children and saying, you know, all you have is an unhappy mom. And therefore all I can really give you is a sense of happiness. But you know what? Everybody knows that nobody's happy in this small little structure called home. So I met someone and the person told me, you know, if you're motivated, you can achieve anything. And you just got to motivate yourself and do it. So I would come home and I would say, okay, what can I do? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to create a life for myself. And I spent 8 years in this cycle of talking to people, getting motivated, and stayed in the same cycle. Till one day I had a breakdown where I wanted to question myself, what is motivation? And here is what I learned. Motivation is just a word. It is a word that needs to be given life. The first component of motivation is that what is the resistance for you to achieve the next goal? आपको क्या रोक रहा है उस next goal को achieve करने के लिए? वो first चीज़ है motivation को execute करने के लिए. So you have to understand what your break is. What is the hesitation in you that when you break down, you will become more successful or become better at achieving your next goal? So to give you an example, I kept saying I want to walk out of this marriage, I want to create a life of my own. But the reason I didn't do it was because I had never worked outside. I never had a job before this. So whether I acknowledged it or not, it was in the back of my mind. And that is how resistance is. It is there in your head. You may not acknowledge it, you may not validate it, but it is there. And that's what keeps you stuck to the ground and instead of taking the next step. So I realized that my first resistance was not having worked. My second resistance was what will the society say? And my third resistance was the well-being of my children. So the well-being of my children was something I took upon myself, and I said, you know what? If I'm able to give them a good place to be happy in, give them good education, and give them a loving environment where they're able to prosper, that is something that will really help them. Beyond that, the material gifts and all of that stuff will come as they come. But the first level of resistance in making sure that I'll be able to give them a happier time was dependent on me. And I was very confident I could do that. Resistance number 1, down. Resistance number two was the society. What is the society going to say when they come to know that I have broken a marriage and stepped out? What will my parents say? What will my friends say? Hell, what about my children? How are they going to carry the burden of me walking out? And to that, my resolute answer was, this is my journey. I've lived so long carrying the society pressure. The society doesn't give a damn for me. I'm happy. I'm unhappy on my own, alone. Resistance number 2, down. The last resistance was never having worked outside. How did I break the resistance down? I got out and got the first job that I could. That job just gave me $1,500 a month. I'm talking about decades back, of course, but it met none of my financial needs to begin with, but I took on the job because I realized I wanted to do that to kind of understand that, can I even do it? Can I even work outside? And that was the breakdown of resistance number 3. So here we have motivation. The first thing that motivation requires is that you break down all the resistance. Once you break down the resistance, the second comes, why are you doing it? It is very important to connect the success that you imagine you'll achieve by breaking the resistance and achieving the goal with which you're motivated for is attached to something positive. समझ आया? Let me break it down even easily. It's very important that जो आपका goal है, जिसके लिए आप इतना motivate हो रहे हैं, that goal is attached to something positive. And people will say goal is a goal, but emotion connected to it doesn't matter. It does matter. अगर आपका goal is not attached with something positive, a positive emotion, we as human beings love to just pull ourselves down and be more affected by failure than we ever are with success. And so, if the emotion attached to your goal is not of absolute positivity and happiness, it's very hard to stay motivated to be on that goal. See how it's connected? So I decided that my goal is that I'm going to be financially independent. I'm going to pay all my children's bill, my bills, plus save enough to buy my first home. Keep in mind, I was earning 1,500 rupees a month at that time. But I had a goal. And I connected that goal with an absolute positive picture. And then I broke down what my possible roadblocks could be. I could fail. I wouldn't have a job. Well, at least I tried. Maybe I won't earn enough to be able to buy a home. But hey, I'll be able to still pay the bills of myself and my children. But what if your salary was not enough to even pay for your children and yourself? And that brought me to my second goal, that I had to work so hard that I was able to earn the bare minimum to make sure that my children and I were catered for. The moment I attached this picture to the goal, there was pure flow of positive energy to my resistance breaking down, and as the resistance broke down, came in motivation. So how do we get motivated? We first understand what is a resistance to our goal. We attach our goal to positive affirmations, to positive scenarios, and then work out all the resistance that we have and break down all the resistance in a positive manner. The more negative we are, the easier it is to give in to failure than to slide down the hole of misery. But every time to lift yourself and be very optimistic. Okay, this happened, doesn't matter. Tomorrow is another day, I'm going to try it another way. Optimism, which is a completely new word. But what is optimism? For that, I'll do another video. Till I meet you next time, please do like and also subscribe as we begin a journey of understanding these random words and what they mean and how they can actually change our life. Stay joyful, stay happy, and succeed. Is that a heart?